There is a moment that often goes unnoticed. Nothing happens suddenly. Nothing changes dramatically. The dog is still in the room, still near you, still awake. But the body is no longer doing what it was doing just moments before. Something eases, quietly, without asking to be seen. It shows up in very small ways. A breath that leaves the body a little longer than the ones before. A slow turn instead of a quick adjustment. A shift of position that takes its time. Sometimes the head lowers slightly, not all the way down, just closer. Close enough to rest. Close enough to stay. Nothing about it is urgent. Nothing about it asks for attention. There are moments when the room is still active, but the dog is no longer responding to every part of it. A sound passes through the space, not loud, not soft, just present. The ears register it, but they don't turn toward it. They don't sharpen. They don't hold. Someone moves across the room. A chair shifts. A door opens and closes somewhere nearby. The body notices, but it doesn't reorganize itself around the movement. The eyes remain open, yet they are not following anything in particular. They rest without fixing on a point. They drift without searching for what comes next. There is no scanning of corners, no checking behind, no subtle tightening when something changes position. The environment continues to move in small, ordinary ways. Sounds overlap, light shifts, air moves, but none of it is being gathered all at once. The dog is still aware, just not prioritizing. A noise does not pull the body forward. A motion does not reset the posture. Nothing in the room is asking to be tracked. Attention loosens, not because something feels safe, but because nothing feels urgent. The body remains where it already is, not bracing, not adjusting, not preparing for what might follow. There is less watching happening, even though the world hasn't gone quiet. Things are still happening, they are simply no longer being held in focus. The body begins to change its position, but not in a way that looks like rest. It doesn't fully lie down, it doesn't stay upright either. Weight shifts slightly, redistributing itself without commitment. One side carries more than before, another eases without dropping. The legs adjust, not to move away, not to move closer, just to occupy the space they are already in. The back rounds a little, then stops, not curling, not stretching. The body no longer leans forward, no part of it is angled toward what might happen next. Muscles remain engaged enough to stay upright, but not tense enough to respond quickly. There is no tightening that signals readiness, no alignment that suggests preparation. The posture sits somewhere in between, not alert, not resting. If movement happens nearby, the body doesn't reorganize itself around it. It doesn't reset. It doesn't brace. The dog remains capable of moving, but nothing in the posture suggests that movement is expected. The weight stays where it is, balanced, unhurried. Nothing is being held in reserve. Nothing is being saved for later. The body is simply occupying its place without positioning itself for what might follow. Still awake, still responsive if needed, just not held forward anymore. The change doesn't stay fixed in one position. A few moments later, the body makes another small adjustment. Not a correction, not a response. A breath lengthens again, then returns to its usual rhythm. The posture shifts, then settles back where it already was. Nothing marks the movement as important. Nothing separates it from the moment before. The room hasn't changed. The sounds remain ordinary. The space stays the same. Another quiet shift appears, similar but not identical. There is no pattern being formed, no sequence being built. Each movement stands on its own, complete enough to pass without notice. The body is not repeating something on purpose. It isn't reinforcing a state. It isn't arriving anywhere. The adjustments happen in between other things, between sounds that fade, between movements that don't require attention. Because nothing is announced, it's easy to miss that it has happened more than once. Not because it is becoming familiar, but because each moment feels ordinary on its own. From the outside, this kind of stillness can be easy to misread. The dog isn't moving much. It isn't reacting. It isn't doing anything that draws attention. To someone watching, it can look like nothing is happening. The body is there, but quiet. The posture doesn't signal interest. The face doesn't ask for interaction. It can seem like disengagement, like waiting, like absence. We often expect engagement to be visible, movement, response, a look that follows what we do. When those signs don't appear, it's natural to assume the connection has faded. The dog doesn't approach, doesn't pull away, doesn't check in. It simply stays where it is. That can look like indifference, or boredom, or a lack of interest in what's happening around it. But nothing about the posture suggests withdrawal. Nothing closes in on itself. Nothing turns away. The body hasn't left the space. It hasn't removed itself from the room. It remains present without signaling that presence. Stillness, in this case, doesn't announce itself. It doesn't try to communicate. It doesn't offer reassurance. And it doesn't ask for it either. From the outside, that can feel unclear, because we are used to reading meaning through action, through visible effort, through something that asks to be noticed. When none of that appears, the moment can feel empty. But the absence of movement is not the absence of attention. It simply means nothing is being expressed outwardly. These moments often appear when nothing in particular is happening. In the middle of an afternoon that passes quietly, when the light shifts across the floor without anyone noticing. While you are standing in the kitchen, focused on something small, hands busy, attention elsewhere. A sound fades from the room. A screen goes quiet. Movement slows without anyone deciding to slow it. The dog is nearby, not watching closely, not moving away. It adjusts slightly where it already is. A small shift of weight. A change in how the body meets the ground. Nothing about the moment feels marked. There is no pause that asks to be remembered. The day continues in its ordinary way. Tasks move forward. Time passes without interruption. The dog remains part of the space, without inserting itself into what is happening, not seeking interaction, not avoiding it either. These moments slip in between other moments, between tasks that blend together, between sounds that don't stand out. They don't announce their arrival, and they don't linger long enough to be noticed. If you weren't looking for them, you might not register that anything changed at all. The room stays familiar, the routine holds, and the body stays exactly where it already belongs. These moments don't ask to be noticed. They don't come with a look. They don't wait for a response. The dog doesn't lift its head to check, doesn't search for eye contact, doesn't pause to see if the movement was seen. The shift happens quietly, and nothing follows it. There is no signal sent outward, no request made, no confirmation needed. The dog remains aware of the room, aware of your presence, without needing to draw attention to itself. It doesn't move closer to be acknowledged. It doesn't move away to avoid being seen. It stays exactly where it already is. The body adjusts, then continues without interruption. Life moves on around it. Sounds overlap. Activity continues. No one responds to the shift, and nothing about it changes because of that. The moment holds without recognition. Not because recognition is absent, but because it isn't required. The movement doesn't depend on being observed. It doesn't wait to be confirmed. It simply exists within the space, whether anyone reacts to it or not. Nothing needs to change after that. The dog stays where it is, the room remains the same, breathing continues, sounds come and go. There is no clear signal that the moment is ending, no cue that something else should begin. The posture doesn't reset, the body doesn't return to alertness. It simply remains as it is, without effort, without intention. Time moves forward, but the state does not announce any shift with it. The space holds, the presence holds, and the moment stays open, quietly, without asking for anything more.